What's up, guys?
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the pod, coming to you live from the studio on 83rd.
Woohoo!
I'm Grace.
I'm Lucy.
And today we have a very special guest.
Hello.
My name's Celine.
Welcome.
Welcome. So who are you?
Yeah, who are we even talking to?
Who are
today?
you?
Who am I? That's a really
Yeah, right?
Wait, that's a
really
really
deep
deep question. Who am I? I am a fourth year political science student at the U of A.
Oh, yeah.
I am just a creative, philosophically driven person.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh,
That's
good. And what do you do?
Right now, I do a couple things. So right now, I'm the founder and the host of Zion Open Mic Series, which is by far, like, to date, my favorite creation. It's also one of the ones that I think holds the most power for me. So.
Oh yeah, I'd say yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very powerful, man.
It's a space for sure. I'm a researcher for the ways that cannabis affect youths who are coming out of other, like, alcohol and other drug usage abuses, and how that affects their therapy and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
It's really,
really
cool.
cool.
It's really, really cool.
Wow, and you get to really affect people one-on-one.
Yep. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And educating about something that you really truly love. Like,
It's really cool. No,
I
it's so
wish.
vibing. It's definitely, like, there's not enough research out there, and because it's just recent in legalization, like, if you're interested in getting into, like, cannabis research, just do it, because, like, we need it out there so bad, so bad. But yeah,
So, how and why did you create the Zion series?
Yeah.
that's a really great question. Zion was created mainly because friends of mine at the time were mentioning how there wasn't really a space for them to say, like, poetry in Edmonton. There were a couple at the time of open mic spaces, but a lot of them didn't feel comfortable going to them because they weren't really, like, by people who were in the community at the time. They were originally in older crowds and stuff like that. And so I was just like, oh, no one's doing it, I'm gonna do it. I don't know. I just, like, took a leap of faith. So started, right? It was just, I don't know why I did it, but, like, we said we were gonna do it, we did it, honestly, high key.
I'm so glad you did.
To be honest, me too. Like, there's been a lot that has come out of it, that have helped a lot of people, which I'm happy about. But it started December 2018 in Coffee and Brew on Jasper Ave, which has since shut down, which is unfortunate, but
R.I.P.
But I wasn't expecting much out of it, to be honest with you. I was expecting, like, maybe, like, 5 people to show up, and we actually packed out that cafe.
That's awesome.
Like,
That's
there were,
rewarding.
incredible success.
Yeah, like, there were people, like, coming out of the door, and I was like, oh my god, like, there are people here. There's, like, hella people here.
You knew the community needed this stuff, and
Yeah.
they showed up.
Yeah, and, like, after that, I was like, well, I mean, if this is the response and people are and there was, like, a lot of feedback of, like, this is what we've been looking for, like, this is so cool, it's so vibey. And so, like, I was like, might as well keep doing it, I don't know. And people like it, people want it, like, might as well. And so they just continued on after that. And, like, something I love about the people who came to those is that because they were all so creative, a lot of them, like, went off and, like, started doing their own shit, and I thought it was so cool to see, like, people who I had been talking to who were like, oh, we don't really know if we want to do something like this, or we don't know if this is something that we want to do, go off and be like, you know what, we're just gonna take a leap of faith and, like, start creating with all this stuff. And it was so cool to see them do it, and, like, oh, I loved it. It was just so vibey.
Oh my goodness, isn't that so amazing? That's what happens when you give people an opportunity in a space like you do, you know? Like, that's so crazy. The influences.
Like, I think the first, like, I shared some poetry at, like, the Moth Cafe, like, one of, like, the really early ones. And I was like,
so I didn't say hi to anyone. I didn't even say hi to you. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like shaking, you're whispering into the mic. I'm like crying, like, what's going on? I was so scared, but I was like, that was my first like step or like entry into like the Edmonton like art community kind of. And like,
what a first step.
Literally. No, and then from there I met Iris, like Please Be Nice. She was like the only person that like said something after, because I was like hiding in the corner of the table. I'm like, don't talk to me. No one. But then like since then, like that was like my like entry into like the community, the art scene, like super cool. Like how much that like affects people.
I'm so happy about that. Iris, for the record, such a cool person. Like, love her to bits and pieces.
I know.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Endless amount. Oh wow, lovely person.
Such an amazing human being. Anyways, shout out Iris.
Yeah. I love you.
Well deserved.
So are you a poet yourself?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think I started writing poetry when I was like unofficially in junior high, when you're like in that angsty like I want to go through like the goth or the emo or the punk phase, and I definitely went through one. All
the cool people did.
All of us fine people went through it. And then when I got into high school, there was a poetry club at my high school, and I just joined, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing this. And I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness for that then. Yeah, wow. I have no idea if my high school had anything poetry like that going on, so I wish. I totally would have. That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There's a lot of cool people in that group, actually. A lot of fascinating schools and individuals who I haven't spoken to in like years, but I hope they're all doing well.
Shout out to everybody in the poetry group.
Honestly.
Yes, you guys.
Oh, jeez, you guys know who you are.
Would you want to share a poem with us today on the pod?
Sure. When you have to like pull it up. Let's see. Where is it? Oh yeah. So this is technically it's untitled, but it's titled something maybe, because I was writing this at the last event that we hosted. As I was hosting, I was like, I should say something, and then I was like, I don't have anything
to say.
Don't say that, yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna write this, and like my partner was standing right behind me as I like crouched in the corner, writing everything down. He was like, it's really interesting to see you like run up to host things, go back down to like write a poem, run back up to host it, and then like 15 minutes later say the poem. Like that was just like because he's never like experienced that. He was like, it was just a fascinating thing to look at. It was based off of a book that my little brother read for his class called Run Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, and it's about like, if I'm not mistaken, it was about this Russian lady in some type of war era and like some shit like that. It was an interesting book for him. I did not read it. I just liked the title. And that was about as far as it went. But yeah, it's about that. And it has like, and I'm also in the for the record, I'm gonna put this out there. Okay. Open your wounds to the sky and let your sins spill out, inking the world around us. I will run my plow over the bones of the dead so I can find peace in the music it brings to my ears. Bones. Bones. Could bones still be humans? Humans without soul, buried 6 feet under the topsoil, made up of the tears of humans longing. Humans with a soul. Humans. People. Beings. Eyes. Mouths. Hair. Skin. Skin. I like the way that you feel. Fingers tracing my name on your back, kisses left gasping for air, skin on skin contact. What do your sins look like? Will you open your wounds to the sky and let them pour out of you? Show me your sins. I don't need them on a silver platter. I want to read them like sentences from antique books, warm and musky. Will you open your wounds to the sky and let them pour out of you? 'Cause I will, for you. And we can let them rain out of us together. Rain. I love the smell of rain and the comfort it brings. You remind me of the smell of rain, encompassing and whole. I feel comfortable, and we're basking in our sins. They've painted us, inking our skins. Persephone said to Hades, for love, I will handle your sins. And Hades asked for justice. Persephone responded, for justice, I will show you mine. I won't handle your sins, I'll paint them next to mine, and I will make art. They say that you reap what you sow, so let me sow the beauty of our sins into art, and we can reap the love from it.
Oh my god!
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Your beauty.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Freaking goddess.
Seriously. So good. I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so deep.
It's so like powerful, like reading poetry, because it's like puts you in like such a vulnerable position. Like
100%.
it's like literally like, here I am.
Yeah, no.
This is my brain.
You're literally
Like-
putting like everything on the table.
Well, that's kind of what the poem is even about in a way. Like,
Yeah.
put everything on the table, do it, and let's make freaking art out of it, out of our
Yeah.
imperfections. Oh, yes.
If you're at U of A and you want to take the witches in a cult class, do it. Because it is so cool. It's so vibey. You get to learn how to cast spells and shit. Like, not like officially, but like
God.
unofficially. Like, we talk about it and it's like, this is how you would do it. This is the steps that you take. And it's like, don't do it, but if you do it, tell me how it goes.
That's so cool.
Such
you
a
teach
cool
me?
Oh my god, yeah.
So into that.
Teachers how to summon a demon. Anyways,
You're like, welcome to the U of A. Here's how you summon a demon in our washroom.
honestly, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if U of A has had demons summoned in their washrooms. Like, especially the arts buildings.
I think they do have a haunted tour that they do.
They do.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Very, very cool. There's a lot of like ghost stories. Apparently, you can see like one of the ladies on like from the founding five in one of the houses, like as a ghost figure. I was like,
My
that's
God.
kinda weird.
That's crazy.
University of Alberta.
Welcome. Welcome.
Oh my god. So when is the next open mic?
This is such a good question. It's happening mid-December. Most likely December 17th. So yeah, or 18th, one of the two.
Where are you planning on doing it at?
Naked Cyber Cafe.
Ooh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
The one that's near McEwen?
Yeah, that one. It's just,
Cool.
it's such a vibey place.
It
The
really
owners
is.
are amazing. There's free parking, which is
Oh,
great.
fuck yeah.
And the food is just like delicious. So
It's a win-win.
it's a win. I love it. So yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool. I can't wait to see you there.
Seriously. What can like people expect when they're coming?
Everything. There will be jokes. There will be a lot of swearing. My parents like to say I have a potty mouth.
Jokes and swearing.
Come on down. Like that kind of place. I know a place. December 18th. It's kind of in like a basement area too. There's not a lot of lighting in there. But their food.
So good. Literally, yeah, no, there's gonna be a lot of poetry. There might be some crying, there might be some subjects that make people feel uncomfortable. Like, you can really expect it all because it's all there. People are laying out their entire souls out on the table for their art, and you can expect poetry, you can expect music, you can expect it all.
What is the like Instagram that people can follow to like get all the information?
At the Zion series, hosts all of our main stuff, so.
Yeah, cool. And how can people like get involved if they want to share their poetry or music?
Just DM me, or the page. We're always like accepting people to come up and speak. Obviously, like to make sure we don't go over time. We usually set a limit of how many people we bring up, so anywhere from like 10 to 15-ish people. Just so that people aren't sitting there for like 3 hours.
Right.
Not that that's a bad thing, because it'd be lovely to sit there for 3 hours
Yeah.
and listen to poetry. But like, you know, we don't want to take over all your time. So, yeah, come on then. Just, you don't have to.
What's your like goal of what you want people to like get out of coming? Like, how do you want people to feel when they're leaving?
I want them to feel something, and like that can literally be anything. People leave feeling uncomfortable because they have, like, a lot of the poets that we bring up are people from minority communities, and like their poetry is based around what we experience, and because of that, a lot of white people that come get uncomfortable and they feel strange about it. And personally, like, that's my favorite part, because, like, first of all, we have people of color sharing their art, and I think that's so important and so powerful, but you also have them doing so on their means. And that's something that I find beautiful. So if you get uncomfortable by it, by all means, hey, like, you get uncomfortable by it, but also recognize, like, why you're getting uncomfortable by the fact that someone of color is saying poetry of the stuff that they live on a day-to-day basis. You're not really sure how to feel about that. I think it says a lot. People feel sadness, they feel happiness, they feel a lot of different emotions. And the goal of it is just to feel something.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of art, especially within the age of social media, you stop feeling things because you're just, like, exposed to it all the time. So the goal is just to, like, feel something.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I like it. Yeah. Where did the name come from?
To be honest with you, like, I don't know. I've had this name in my head since I was, like, a kid. It's just something that's come up. And to be honest with you, I was raised in, like, a, like, Baptist, Christian, Catholic household. And the Mountain of Zion is something that does come up. And it's, like, from what I understood, I don't know if this is correct because I'm not religious, so I don't fucking know. From what I understood about the Mountain of Zion was that it was a space kind of healing and of joy. So I was like, you know what, that sounds great. However, I'm also very aware of the fact that there is Zionism, which is not great at all. I'm like, fuck,
Not related.
Two different things. We're not doing this shit.
That's so funny. I was actually wondering, like, if it was noise backwards, and, like, when you're at poetry, you make a lot of noise. I thought it was
so
noise
cool.
backwards.
Maybe it will be now.
Yeah.
Dual meaning.
We might do that. That sounds cool. So, yeah.
Oh, questions about marijuana.
Yeah, let's talk about pot.
Marijuana. I want to smoke weed every day. And what kind of weed do you like to smoke? There's, like, so much stuff out there. Hash, oils, just smoking the flower. What's your fave? What's your favorite?
Because of my living situation, vapes have been my favorite.
Yo!
I love that you can literally smoke them anywhere. You don't have, like, a very strong smell coming from them, which is great if you're, like, living with people or that don't necessarily smoke, or you're in an area that doesn't want, like, cannabis smoke.
Hey,
It's cold
let's do
outside.
it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Canada.
Yeah. Hey, like, we live in Alberta. So, like, that's been my go-to. But, like, during the summertime, it always joins. So.
And specifically, I thought you were using these pods, and they're, like, dosing pods?
Yes!
Can you talk about those?
Oh my god, okay, so Dosist is a wonderful company. Absolutely love them. They have a mechanism. It's the Dosist pods, and it is 2.5 milligram doses every time you inhale. So it actually cuts off as soon as it hits that.
So is that one hit for one good high, and that's all you need, really?
I mean, I take like 5 hits.
Oh!
So that's we'll probably be at 1 hit after.
Yeah,
this
we'll
tolerance
touch on the
break.
tolerance break.
If I take 5 hits after this tolerance break, I'll drop ass. But yeah, no, it's a really cool mechanism. It's really great if you need like very specific dosing. And they have a wide range of pods. So they have like ones for sleep specifically. They have ones for waking up. They have ones for exercising. They have ones that are CBD concentrated. Like really wide range.
No kidding, all your options there.
Yeah. On top of that, it's Black owned.
Woo!
So that's something I didn't know until like I had to do a research project on them. But like,
Oh, that's
it's a
awesome.
Black-owned company. So
That's
go check
awesome.
them out.
Double support.
Yeah.
And so you're a cannabis educator.
I am. Yeah.
And
That's so cool.
why and how did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. The how was I have a diploma in cannabis, flowering methods, consumption methods, and distribution from Green Flower Academy. There's a couple different academies that you can actually get a diploma from for cannabis in specific. Oak something is another one. All out of the States for the record. I don't know why. I'm sure. No, hang on. It's either Nate or McEwen has like a certificate program now for cannabis in specific as well.
No way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of them has
Awesome.
it. I don't remember which one, but yeah, one of them has it as well. So yeah, if you want a diploma, check out those places. They're really cool. They really get into like detail about it, and you go through like an entire history and stuff. So it's very, very cool. It's quite pricey though, to be fair. So that's how. Why? So my mom has chronic lymphatic leukemia, and she was diagnosed when I was 7. She was given 3 years to live, and I'm 21 now, so that's like what, 14 years? And she's still alive, which is great. Go getter, bad bitch, love her to bits and pieces.
Amazing.
But something that she refused to do was a chemo treatment and chemotherapy. And because of that, she kind of started looking into different methods of how to treat herself. And at one point, she got really into like naturalist methods, so becoming vegan and doing different herbs and stuff like that. Something that came up a lot was cannabis. And as like a kid that's watching their mom kind of die from cancer, which is really dark and depressing, it was difficult to see her go through the process. But cannabis was something that she would always like come back to.
Right.
She was always fascinated by it. She had never done it, but she was always fascinated by it, and she was like, if I just knew more about cannabis, if I just understood it more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can find the research that easily too, right?
Yeah. So she was always kind of like on the fence about it. And then when I hit high school, I went to a predominantly white high school. A lot of the people that I was around were smoking weed. A lot of people when I was in junior high were smoking weed too, which if you're in junior high and you're smoking weed, it's questionable behavior. But I was also
We've all been there in the forest with the soda can.
Come on.
How did you know, Grace?
Seriously.
Or the apple, yeah.
Yeah, the apple.
Somebody pulls out like a crusty pipe that they stole from their dad.
Yeah.
We've all been there. It happens.
My older brother
it's
is
really
a bomb, and they bring out this tiny little...
Literally, you buy like a $30 bag of oregano from someone behind 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Get a pop can. I think it's great.
It happens, you
Yeah.
know? It's just a thing. I went to high school in St. Albert. I didn't realize that this was like a strictly Edmonton thing. Like, kids in St. Albert were not doing this shit. And I was like, oh. Oh my god, that's so funny. This is a different world. Okay. But a lot of the people when I was in like grade 11 and grade 12, they were starting to get involved in cannabis and started smoking a lot. One of my good friends in particular, Lucas, he was like smoking almost every day. Like, would go out, have a smoke during lunch, come back. And so him and I got along really well, and so it just naturally it would be like, let's go smoke. And I was like, okay, let's go smoke. Let's have a good time. And so during that time I was like, this is really fucking cool. Like, there's a lot behind cannabis, not just like the plant, but like the culture itself that I got really interested in. And I was like, fuck it. My mom wanted to know more about it. I'm interested in it now, and so I just started getting into it and started researching it. And now that I'm in university, actually doing research with it, which is super cool, and getting my diploma, and yeah.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. I almost want to hear a little bit more too about even like some of the stuff that you even learned about pot. Like specifically, I was wondering about like terpenes and flavors.
Yeah.
And if you could like maybe delve into some of that.
Yeah, okay, I love terpenes. Love terpenes.
What are they?
The easiest way to explain what a terpene is it's a flavoring to your weed. However, terpenes are in absolutely everything. So all of the plants, all the flowers specifically, that we have around the world have terpenes in them. And so it's not something that's just for cannabis. A lot of people think it is. It's not. But it's your flavoring. It's aromatic chemical compounds within the plant itself. And there are over 200 different types within cannabis. Some like really well-known ones are like linalool, limonene, myrcene, apinene, stuff like that. And each of these have different effects on your body. So personally, like I love linalool because it's the same compound that you find in lavender, and I love lavender. Lavender reacts really well with my body, so I drink a lot of lavender tea. I take a lot of things that have lavender in it. And so when I find strains that have linalool on it or in it, I generally buy them because I'm like, this shit is going to work well for me.
I know it.
It's going to do some shit. But yeah, terpenes, there's a whole world of terpenes.
Did they actually taste like what they sound like? One sounded like lemon or something?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Like when,
citrus one?
Especially when you get fresh nuggets, like the smell of it can sometimes be like you'll find something that are a bit more muskier, a bit more fresh. You sometimes have like that citrusy smell, something that's a bit more flowery, and even in smoking, like you have certain tastes. They're very, very minute, but like certain tastes that come up and you're like, oh, this kind of tastes like something similar. Like weed does not, I don't know why people that don't smoke weed always say this, but like weed does not all taste the same.
Skunk.
Yeah.
Skunk, right? Literally, yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of flavorings and smells that come with the terpenes, and it's a very cool world to delve into. It's very long, extensive to delve into too.
You're like a connoisseur.
Seriously?
A little bit.
Is there really like a difference of like the type of high that you get by like what you use to smoke? Like a lot of people will say like, oh, if I like smoke using a bong, I feel like this, but when I like smoke a joint, I feel like this. Like, is there really a difference?
Yes and no. So there's a difference in onset time. With traditional smoking methods like joints, blunts, that kind of stuff, you generally have like a lower onset time. At the same time, the thing with bongs, because pipes also fit into that, the thing with bongs is that you're inhaling a lot of smoke all at once. So the easiest way that I thought about it when I was learning about this is that when you smoke a joint, like it's not going to be that thick generally. Some people go all out, but it's not going to be as thick, right? And you have anywhere from like 0.5 of a gram to like 2 grams in it, roughly. And you're smoking that just like as you go. Same thing with a blunt. Blunts generally hold more, like they can hold up to 3.5, I think. And so like you're consuming at a slower rate. With a bong, you literally put that whole thing in the bowl and you go for it. It's one big hit or 2 big hits. So your onset time is going to be a little different with a bong. But when you have things like edibles, like vapes, like certain resins, all those things have different onset times, and that's where you're feeling different things at different times. So you have quicker onset times, you have slower onset times, you have things that are, especially with like, what's it called? Sublinguals and transdermal patches, those things you aren't going to like feel as quickly. And the high may not be the same because of the way that you're taking it in. So it's literally just about like the way you take it in and the onset time, and that's where your high is coming from.
That's interesting. It's really cool. What actually happens when you like green out?
Greening out okay, so greening out is interesting. a lot of people refer to it like being like super drunk and just like blacking out, which in a way it is. What greening out is our bodies have natural endocannabinoid receptors.
That's
in the
crazy
system.
to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's already there.
We already have it. It's all in there.
That's how natural of a drug it is to take.
Yeah.
It literally is. Literally. That. All the people who don't agree with it. Anyways. So because of that, we have something called the CB1 and the CB2 receptor. These are spread throughout our bodies. CB1 and CB2 are both in our brain. However, greening out specifically affects our CB1 receptors in our brain. So what that means is when you're greening out is that you've taken too much THC and it is now affecting, like overloading the CB1 receptors. And you're just getting you're getting anxious, you're getting nauseous, and it feels similar to getting like a blacked out drunk because of that overwhelming effect in your brain. And that's literally all it is, because you'll wake up the next morning and, I mean, you might have thrown up quite a bit. You might not have done well, but you will be fine. You will be fine. A lot of people, the thing is about greening out too, is that you can do it solely on cannabis, but you can also do it with drugs, like other drugs. So especially cannabis and alcohol, like the two, when they're joined together, will bring that about really, really quickly. And so
they've done that about the t-shirt.
Yeah. No.
I know, right?
It's it's a no. Don't do it. Well, no, you can do it, just like be responsible about how you do it, right? Because like, if you don't want, and it doesn't affect everyone equally. Some people are more susceptible to greening out than others. But if you know that you have a tendency to consume a lot or feel really anxious or nauseous after consuming a certain amount of THC, don't consume it with alcohol. And maybe take down dosing a little bit, because that's also affecting that.
Yeah, it's all a learning lesson too.
It really is. It's so specific to the person too.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Like, you can't just be like, take this much amount and you'll feel great.
I've had someone tell me that once. Yeah, no.
It doesn't work that way.
But they're politely that way. It's you live and you learn.
Literally!
Yeah, live and learn. And what would you recommend to people who get like really anxious or paranoid when they smoke?
Yeah,
like,
that's a really good question.
I wonder what it is in weed that even makes you anxious.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that can. And there's certain terpenes actually that can, in specific, that make you anxious. As well as different like cannabinoids that can make you very anxious. First thing is maybe take a step back from weed, just to reevaluate like what your body needs, because that's a big thing. I feel like a lot of people who do consume, especially when they do get anxious, they just keep consuming because they'll be like, oh, like it'll fade or it'll go away or stuff. And completely fair, like it definitely can. However, just it's okay to take a step back from it. And it's totally okay to like reevaluate what you need as a person for your body, especially when it comes to that stuff. I'm not a licensed physician for this shit, for the record, so I'm not going to recommend anything in specific. However, I would look at what you're consuming that's making you anxious. So for some people, that's things that have high THC make a lot of people anxious for whatever reason. And on the flip side, some things that have high CBD make some people anxious for whatever reason. Even things that have high CBN, which isn't talked about as much, and you don't really find it unless your company is like really putting out all the testing that they've done and really putting out all of the stuff that they have in their weed, that can also make people anxious. So you really have to like look at like, what weed have I smoked, what has made me really anxious, what hasn't made me really anxious, and then kind of like go from there. And it's really like an experimentation process.
So probably different for everyone.
Yeah,
so
it really
true.
is. It really is. So I highly recommend like going to like a licensed medical physician about this, because like they'll be able to like really work with you one-on-one and give you recommendations and like, this worked, this didn't work, what can we do next? So they're really great for that. Highly recommend. And there's like a ton of them out there now, so go
Which
check
is
them out.
so cool
Yeah.
too.
I love that. Like you got your like doctor's license or whatever, and then you were like, let's do it in weed.
Yeah.
Fuck with those people so heavy.
What is your favorite strain of cannabis?
That's a really good question. Probably like okay. High key. From the legal market, it's a strain called Sky Pilot. I don't remember who released it. It came out I think 2019, one of those 2 years. Wonderful strain. A bit pricey, but I loved it. From the non-legal market, it was a strain called Chemotherapy. I have never been able to find the strain ever again. I got it from who did I get it from? I got it from a friend who was a dealer.
Is that an indica?
Yes, it was like a heavy indica.
Cool.
Like we smoked. It was in a
Makes
group
sense
of
for the
friends.
name.
Right. I like the first time not the first time, but like when I did try it, I was like, this shit's gonna knock me on my ass. Like I knew it instantaneously. But we smoked with a bunch of friends. It was Canada Day, and
Woohoo!
we wanted to go see the fireworks. And you know when you're so high, but like in like a very good state that like your entire body just feels kind of like tingly and buzzy and like everything is bright and pretty. It was that on like level 10, and it was amazing. It was godlike.
Sounds like a beautiful time.
It was a beautiful time. It was great. There was chips. There was fireworks. It was
Friends,
great.
probably.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It was
It's the best
amazing.
when you have like everything that you need
Right there.
right there set up.
It was great. I loved it. I loved it a lot. I have never been able to find it again. I've never been able to find something that comes close to it. So, if you know what I'm talking about from a strain called Chemotherapy, please hit me up.
Please DM her on Instagram. She needs that again.
I need to find it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
What other questions do you have, Lucy?
Oh yeah, I was
We have a
wondering,
couple
are there any brands or any companies that you're working with right now that you'd like to mention? I did see that you had mentioned Salish Trails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Salish Trails is super, super cool. I'm actually currently working with them on a project. So keep your eyes out on my Instagram because over the next couple of weeks we'll be doing a couple of posts about some products that they have. It's a really great company. Probably one of my favorite companies currently. They are Indigenous owned, so they're from the Salish Nations, which is super, super cool because, first of all, like this isn't our land, right? We're on Treaty 6. And because it's not our land, I've always found it interesting when people like grow herbs and vegetables and fruits on this land and kind of don't pay respects to that. And with a plant like cannabis, where there's so many different types of healing properties within it, and there's been such a long history within Indigenous communities across the world of using it as a healing product, to have like an Indigenous nation specifically take that on and actually create an entire storefront for it and actually like produce it, I just thought it was so powerful and I loved it so much. They're amazing people, for the record. Like, if you've been looking for a dispensary that's super cool, it's all online too, which is great because I ship Canada-wide. Looking for an amazing dispensary, like, definitely recommend Salish Trails because they have such a wide variety. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually just got mushrooms on their site too.
What?
Which is
Oh yeah.
fucking cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is so
Check them
awesome.
out.
I know where I'll be getting my weed now.
So that's Salish.
And is there anything you wanted to say about Dutch Love? I saw you guys were connected with them.
Yeah, Dutch Love is super cool, super vibey. They're just like a very, if you want like that yoga type of feel when you go buy weed, definitely recommend Dutch Love. Especially the one on White Ave. Like, you walk in and it's just like they have all of their diffusers going, they have incense lit.
Love it.
It's amazing. It's super cool.
I don't think I've been.
It's really vibey. Like, it's a small store, but like super vibey. All the salesperson are really, really nice.
I love that.
And they give like really great recommendations. And they'll follow you on Instagram just to hang out. Which is super cool.
If you're working there, I could just assume you'd have to be kind of cool.
Yeah. They're super, super cool. Another great store is Tweed.
Yes! They're so fun there.
Love Tweed. Big shout out to Tweed and like literally everyone working in that store. They're so, so sweet.
They're like a family there.
They really are though. Like, you want anything, if you need advisements, if you need like literally anything, they have everything at that store, and they're so, so cool. And especially with the way that they work with the community and they bring people in, like, love Tweed. I can't say enough about Tweed.
Oh, that place is so good.
Sure,
I know, right?
They got a store
down here on White Ave.
Here on White Ave.
Check them out. And they're currently having their friends and family sale.
Oh,
really? Check them out.
Definitely. Like, go today.
Yeah, other than that, did you have any other like local products or anything local that people could be buying for like Christmas time, Christmas gifts this season? Any suggestions?
Hit up all of your like local artists to get your gifts, to be honest. Especially like, and if you want to try something different for Christmas, I highly recommend donating to different indigenous funds and calls to action, because like I said, this is our land. We're just residing on it, and so like if you help the people whose land it is, do it.
I love it. Well said.
Do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just like support local people. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Fuck Amazon at this point.
Oh my goodness.
Seriously,
Jeff
do
Bezos
not
is
buy
not.
your Christmas presents on Amazon.
No. There's tons of local artists that you
Yeah,
can
there's so many people right here. Same day delivery.
Literally!
Local artists can do it too.
Same day delivery. And it's just better quality. You're supporting local. You're not contributing to the mass amount of shit that just goes into our... Come on, yo.
I mean, just think about it. You're basically recycling your money. It's going to come right back to your community.
Yeah, exactly.
We have no idea how much we're siphoning off little bits of our money at a time. To the 1%. We have no idea.
Yeah, just support local. That's all I have to say.
Tight, local.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any local artists or local musicians that you're also listening to right now that you could be sharing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so sorry if I call her Liv, but her stage name is Abiolo Taylor. Local R&B artist. Super, super vibey. Highly recommend. I love all of her music, and she actually just dropped something recently as well, which you should go check out. Also Nwali. Love Nwali.
We were just talking about them.
Yeah, he's like, I just did a show with him. Super cool. Super vibey. Go check out his recent drop of his album, which is so good. Oh my goodness.
I know, right?
But yeah.
Oh, so exciting.
What else do I have? I don't know. There's like a lot of people that I listen to, and I'm just like, they're just, the homies.
Gosh, there's actually such a great community here in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's some real talent here.
There is. There's a lot of talent.
And to think that there's so many talented young people too.
Yeah.
The young population is crazy.
Yeah. I think something that I love. Excuse me. So sorry. Something that I love about at least the people that I interact with in this community currently is that a lot of them, if not all of them, like, aren't about gatekeeping, which I love.
Yeah.
And so like when people come up and they have questions about like how they do their stuff, or if they want to get involved with stuff, they're like, oh yeah, like I'll teach you, or I'll do this for you. And like I love that, because I think that we need to, as people, just like continue teaching the younger generation.
Why does it have to be competition when
Yeah,
it can be
literally.
cooperation?
Exactly.
Like,
So true.
We're literally just people trying.
Somebody's
to
been my ladder once.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
definitely going to be someone else's ladder.
Like we have to keep it up, especially for the younger generation. Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
Well, especially in the arts community too,
100%.
when we're like not even I don't know, it's kind of hard, you know? It's difficult, so it's so much easier to get through with community and friends and people who are on your side and people to help you out, and I love Edmonton's community for that. I felt nothing but, like, good vibes from a lot of the stuff going on, a lot of the events I've been to, the people I've been meeting, the young talents, like, it's kind of amazing. Yeah. We're really lucky here, but some people just go to Toronto.
Yep,
Montreal. Just leave Montreal. There's a lot of jobs there, so I totally get it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Speaking of like young people, what are your thoughts on young people smoking cannabis or using cannabis?
Totally fair. That's a big thing for me. As long as it depends on what age. So I personally am not for like young people that are like 10 to like 15-ish using cannabis per se. However, that's only recreationally. So if you're using cannabis like medicinally, I don't care what age you are. Use it, because like that shit for some people fucking works.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you use it medicinally, I'm all for it. If you're using it recreationally, I feel like 16 is an appropriate age to kind of get introduced into that world.
I mean, legally we should all say 18, but raise your hand if you did when you were 16. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
legally, yes, 18. Smoke when you're 18, you know. But if you're out at a party and you're 16 or whatever, yeah, okay. As long as you're in like a safe environment, and like that's the biggest thing for me, is that like a lot of the younger generation who are smoking sometimes aren't doing it in the safest environment, or they're just not in the right mindset to be doing it and stuff like that, and like that really showed itself to me because of my little brother, because he's 17 and he was at a party once, and there were kids around him who were younger than him, because you know how high school parties are, and they were all smoking, and he was like, I don't know if they knew what they were doing. Like, they just kind of like looked a little bit all over the place, and I didn't really know what to do. I was like, that's totally fair, especially if you're like just getting into it. Like, it can seem like a lot, and also don't peer pressure people into smoking. Just don't peer pressure people into anything. But like, yeah, no, just don't do that shit, because like as soon as you get into like the wrong mental state with it, like it can fuck you up really quick. So that's like my biggest thing. Legally 18, not legally 16. Yeah.
What do you know about like the scientific evidence of like being addicted to pot?
Yeah, so addiction is interesting with cannabis. Very, very heavily contested issue within the cannabis community. And the reason for that is because because it's so new, there isn't a lot of evidence on if it's really addictive, if it's not really addictive, all this kind of stuff. What we do know is that there's something for, like, the addiction of cannabis is something called cannabis usage disorder, also known as CUD. And within cannabis usage disorder, you have a lot of the same symptoms as addiction for tobacco and alcohol. You have, especially like with cannabis usage withdrawal, where you have the aggressiveness, you have the depression, you have cravings, although not as strongly as the other two. You have all this kind of stuff that you have, malnutrition, loss of weight, all that kind of stuff, that comes up with it. And within cannabis addiction, like, it's a very, within the DSM-5 at least, it's a very specific set of things that specify what cannabis usage disorder is, and how you go about having cannabis usage disorder. And on top of that, like, it's not a rare thing. Like, a lot of people have cannabis usage disorder. A lot of people, especially within the United States, that we're seeing currently, what you're seeing is that a lot of people are seeking treatment for cannabis usage disorder, and a lot of studies that are surrounding it. There isn't, I say a lot, the majority of the studies that surround it are, because there isn't a lot of it, are all kind of focused on the way that people with cannabis use disorders are seeking treatment, how they're getting over it, and then like how they're going back into like their day-to-day lives, which is great and it's interesting. The thing is that we don't have a lot of research or data, and I mean it's coming out more and more every day and every year, on like how cannabis usage disorder affects people, what cannabis usage disorder actually is, because the term addiction is a very complicated term that has a very complex history. And like especially within certain communities, like addiction is not necessarily the right word to use for certain things, but like it's the easiest one for us to recognize, right? When there's an issue, we automatically label it as addiction, which is not right by any means, but
it makes me ask the question, like, what even is addiction?
Yeah, that's fair, right?
What even is it?
And like there's so many different ideas about what addiction is, and there's so many different ways that you can define addiction. So, but yeah, cannabis usage disorder, very, very real thing. You can, by technicality, get addicted to it. I guess a benefit of the addiction in a way is that out of alcohol, tobacco, heroin, cocaine, literally all of the Schedule I drugs, cannabis is the lowest that has lifelong lasting effects. So if you do have cannabis use disorder, like if you go into treatment or you're recognizing that you do need treatment, it's the one that's going to like affect you the least long term, which is really, really nice to hear and really, really nice to know. But at the same time, we also don't know like what that actually means. So we don't have the data of like long term usage, and the studies to show that. So
what does like safe and healthy consumption of cannabis look like?
According to like health practitioners and DSM-5 and stuff like that, healthy usage can look like one. It's kind of divided up a little weird. So it can look like anywhere from 1 to 3.5 grams per week, which isn't a lot of weed, realistically.
A gram a day.
Shit.
But so we're a household of two, though. I guess
at the same time, that's also just off of the data that we currently have, and so that's not a lot of data, and that's not a lot to take from. And we're seeing data that has upped that dose to anywhere from 1 to 5 grams per week. Some people have put it as about one joint worth, so 0.5 to 1 gram a day. And there's lots of data surrounding that. I say lots. It's for what it's currently at. It's lots. For it being new, but it's also like nowhere compared like to the studies of cocaine or heroin or tobacco or alcohol, right? And because it was illegal for so long, like it was also illegal to research this shit.
Yeah,
which is
no one talks about how hard that was.
So messed up.
Many hoops to jump through.
Literally, just to research it. And I feel like you.
So who would? Everyone needs a job. Everyone needs to get paid.
Literally.
That's just literally not an option.
Literally.
Oh,
so
man.
There's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot still to be studied. There's a lot to understand, but
especially when it's something that can have such like positive effects on people, and like people compare it to alcohol a lot, and like
or say it's a gateway drug.
Yeah, and so many
not
ways.
A gateway drug.
Yeah, like
it's not a gateway drug.
Fun fact, actually, for cannabis, a lot of people do say it's a gateway drug, and it's proven that it's not. But it's also proven to help within therapeutic methods of exiting from like cocaine addiction and heroin addiction and methamphetamines and stuff like that. So
is that kind of what you're doing right now in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're studying right now.
That's
is how that affects
cool.
and how that and like we're seeing really positive effects, which is amazing. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to study, especially when there isn't a lot out there on it already.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of just like, we're gonna try this. Let's hope it works.
Yeah, it's also kind of cool because like doing research on it is like, you know, like you're one of the first people to do it.
You're
like,
a pioneer.
There are thousands of people doing research. I promise you, there are thousands of people doing
But you're
research.
like creating the like foundation of like, because like there's gonna be so much more. Like it got legalized like
2018.
yeah,
And then again in 2019.
yeah.
And now we have mushrooms that are legalized. For the record, not a lot of people know that, but like mushrooms got legalized, if I'm not mistaken, this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why a lot of companies have started selling mushrooms.
Yeah, I've been seeing. No kidding,
Check
right?
it out, guys. You
Especially
can
that
legally
one
get
company you're
mushrooms.
talking about, Salish Trails. They're selling some too.
Yep. So, if you like mushrooms, check out mushrooms. I'm not supposed to like recommend things. If you like psychedelics.
Very cool.
Just an idea. Yeah.
Did you have any more questions, Lucy?
No, we actually went through them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
Okay,
y'all's
good.
favorite strains and stuff
Ooh,
like that, and ways to
la
consume?
la. I like edibles. I don't know. I like them as a treat.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get it in some sort of like peanut butter chocolate combination, or if they're homemade or something, little brownies and shit. But otherwise, I really like just like a nice little bong rip. Just I just take a little bit at a time too, so that's how I enjoy it. Otherwise, I really like a joint, and I've heard joints actually like kind of filter it as you smoke it a bit. So
But you've got the filter in there, right?
yeah, and it kind of filters through the weed or something, and then I don't know. You're probably smoking it all anyway, but who doesn't love a good old J, especially for a conversation?
Period.
So good with conversations.
Agreed.
And what about you?
Usually I've just been like using my pen. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just like nice. I get like anxious a lot when I smoke, or I'll like get way too high, and then I feel like dissociated almost for like the next couple days, and it's like I don't know. But so I've been using my pen because it's nice because you can just take like a little bit, and it's like you have so much more control over it,
You really do.
and like yeah, I like that.
It sounds delicious.
I don't know what I have it right now. It's okay. You might know this. Okay, it's like it's a cartridge.
Okay.
It's like Girl Scout cookies and something else. It's like mostly CBD. It's like high CBD.
Girl Scout Cookies does have
Yeah, maybe
a
that's it.
wonderful strain for the record. It also has high myrcene, actually, which helps with sleep.
Yeah, just a nice before bed.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I remembered what it was called, but
I was always wondering, is there anything you would recommend for creativity in
Yeah.
specific?
Oh
I wonder if you know.
Something that has lemonade in it, because it's like a citrusy, vibrant
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
one, and so like if you want to get creative with it, something like that.
Go for those citrus vibes.
I don't really smoke things that have like a creative punch to them, just because when I'm smoking it's mainly to relax, because I'm someone that's very much on the go all the time. What's one that I like though? I know I tried one like maybe a year ago that like oh no, actually it was a pill. It was a THC pill. What was it called? Oh my god. It's from Tweed. Ooh, this is gonna bother me.
I know.
Actually, I think it's the sativa pills.
A pill.
Yeah, it's like it's I'm pretty sure it just has like THC distillate in it, but like a soft gel. Because my little brother was taking them to go to high school, which for the record, my little brother has a way higher tolerance than I do, even though he's been smoking a lot less than I have, so I'm a little confused about that. But like this kid would take like 2 to 3 to focus in class because he has ADHD. I took one and it knocked me on my ass, and I was like, I was pouring milk into my. I remember this like clear as day. I was pouring milk into my tea, and like when it hits you and you kind of like stop. I
Literally.
was pouring milk. I put the milk down. And I looked at my mom. And I was like, I'm high as.
Did you even pour the milk?
Like, I had to stop. I almost overflowed it. I put it down. Like, I was just so... It caught me so off guard. But I proceeded to paint for 5 hours.
Oh my goodness!
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
no, sold.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I fuck with it so heavy. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm
know
gonna have
how
to find
that-
whatever the heck that is.
I'm gonna search it. I'm gonna ask my little brother to search it.
Find it by Friday, and we'll put it in the description.
Still confused as to how that kid took 3 of those to function. If I took 3, I'd be like, I'm in the sky. Like,
Flying high.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, different smokes for different folks.
I love that.
Exactly. And there's a smoke for every folk.
There is. Cannabis is not a cure-all, but it is a something for everyone.
I like the way you say that. Yeah, it's so true. That was all the questions we have for today.
Thank you so much for being our first ever guest on Big Picture Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It was such a pleasure. Oh, you're such a joy to
Seriously.
chat to. Thank you so much for all your
Yeah.
information and all your stuff about weed.
Seriously.
And I hope that everyone can come down to Zion and listen to some noise.
Yeah. Come and listen to some noise. There's also, by the way, a ton of other great like cannabis educators in the city that also do this stuff. One of my favorites is THC A2Z on Instagram. She's wonderful. Highly recommend following as well.
Good
Wonderful.
to know.
And like so vibey. All of her posts are like colorful and oh god. She does like outfit posts too.
Oh my god.
Super
Yeah.
cool. Definitely recommend following her. So yeah.
Give her a follow. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in
Thank you so much.
to the pod. See you next week with Pleasure Craft.
Woohoo! I can't wait for that.